In this weather update, we're forecasting now Category 2 Hurricane Lee. It has taken its time over the past couple of days going north of Puerto Rico, and we are also talking about the latest temperature-wise across the United States, as we have been seeing some very nice fall-like temperatures across the eastern half of the United States. Are those temperatures going to stay? All of that is coming right up. All right, welcome back into another more weather forecast video. My name is Becca Moore, and I'm back here in the weather studio. My last video was last Wednesday, and we were talking about Hurricane Lee, and it has taken its time, but the forecast was pretty good. There's been a lot of hype and dramatic things about it on TikTok, even in the mainstream news, saying we're going to see major effects in New York, down through even up towards Boston as well. But that is not true. We are going to definitely see effects in the United States. So let's get straight into the forecast, looking at the latest cone of uncertainty from the National Hurricane Center. And the wind field for Hurricane Lee is very big right now. You can see in that yellow, those are tropical storm force winds, and in that kind of orangish color, those are hurricane force winds here. So right now, Hurricane Lee is to the south of Bermuda, but as we go into tomorrow, 2 p.m. on Thursday, and then 2 a.m. on Friday, so tomorrow and into Friday, we are going to see tropical storm force effects in Bermuda. That's why we do have that tropical storm force warning. So heavy rain, storm surge are going to be two big issues that we're going to have to watch for in Bermuda. So if you're in Bermuda, make sure you're prepared for that. We're not expecting hurricane force. We're not expecting those hurricane force impacts, but there will be those tropical storm force impacts to be expected, so make sure you're prepared there. By 2 p.m. on Friday, Hurricane Lee, again, it's starting to really go fast, is going to be way to the east of Virginia. By 2 a.m. on Saturday, way to the east of New York City, and then by 2 a.m. on Saturday, I apologize for that, and then by 2 p.m. on Saturday, we can see that we do have hurricane watches already in effect for parts of Maine up towards Bar Harbor, Acadia National Park, and then down towards Boston into the Cape Cod region and into Rhode Island region as well, and to the southern part of the Maine coast. We do have those tropical storm watches in effect as well. So we are going to see effects for the United States in Maine down towards Cape Cod, so Boston as well. These aren't going to be huge, major hurricane effects. That's not what we're expecting, but a low-end hurricane, maybe even a tropical storm, is what we're looking at right now from the Hurricane Center, from the latest models, and that's going to cause storm surge. It's also going to cause some strong winds and some flooding. So let's get straight into the impacts that we're expecting here with Hurricane Lee. The peak storm surge impacts 1 to 3 feet along the Maine coast, down through the small New Hampshire coast, down through Boston Harbor, but then into Cape Cod, we are going to see 2 to 4 feet of storm surge. And again, this can change. This is going to change here in the next couple of days, but right now, 2 to 4 feet in Cape Cod. Now, in Florida or somewhere like that, they're prepared for this. They know what they're doing, but in a place up here into Massachusetts, into Maine, here into New England, they're not really prepared for this. So some of the structures down here won't be able to take this much storm surge, but thankfully it is not going to be a ton of storm surge, so only 2 to 4 feet. Need to be prepared for that if you're in Provincetown, down through Chatham. Nantucket, 2 to 4 feet. Martha's Vineyard, 1 to 3 feet along the coast of Rhode Island here towards Long Island and Connecticut towards New York City, only expecting 1 to 3 feet, 1 to 2 feet. So nothing too significant there, but again, high winds, some flooding will be an issue we're going to have to watch out for, but those are the only two big issues that we're watching out for right now. Again, high winds, storm surge, and flooding. Those three issues, and then the two big issues are probably going to be those winds and that flooding. And that flooding kind of coupled with the storm surge is going to create a scenario where we're going to have some pretty significant impacts, but nothing too crazy up here into New England. So looking at the tropical storm force wind speed probabilities, you can see we've got a 90% chance, of course, for we're out here in the middle of the ocean where thankfully no one lives. But in Bermuda, we are going to see those tropical storm force winds. So be prepared for that as we go into tomorrow and into the next day. But Lee is really going pretty fast now, and it's going to go straight up towards Maine as we go into this weekend. So tropical storm force impacts are expected again for the coast of Maine, for the coast of Massachusetts. So down through Cape Cod and Maine, tropical storm force winds are going to be a problem. And into that northern coast of Maine, right through here, we could even have hurricane force wind speed probabilities. I'm not trying to scare you guys, but that is going to be something that we're going to have to watch out for. But that will be low-end hurricane. But still, those are some strong winds. They can knock out power. So power lines not being knocked down, not having power is going to be a problem that we're going to have to watch out for if you're up here into New England. Now, looking at the European ensemble model, the European puts a bunch of different scenarios into place here and puts it into what we call the ensemble. And you can see here is the track. Here's the consensus of all of those models put together, and it looks a lot like the cone because the cone does look at this data here. And you can see the consensus for right now with Hurricane Lee is putting it hitting Nova Scotia and hitting that northern portion of Maine. Now, can this shift a little bit to the west and a little bit to the east here as well? Yes, those are going to be possibilities that we're going to have to watch out for, but this is the main consensus for right now, in through here, hitting somewhere along the northern coast of Maine. Again, there's always wobble room with storms. There's always wobble room, and we're going to see impacts outside the cone, just like we looked at with storm surge and tropical storm force winds. And we do see a couple of outliers here put in landfall, if you want to call it landfall, near Cape Cod and into the southern portion of Maine here along those beaches. Those probably aren't going to happen because, again, they're outliers. These are the ones that we aren't really trusting. Is it a scenario that could happen? Yes, but the main consensus for right now is putting this storm hitting Nova Scotia and into that northern coast of Maine. So really want to be prepared for that. Again, storm surge, all of those issues down through Boston, down through Cape Cod, down through Long Island. Make sure you're prepared for that flooding, for that storm surge, and for those high winds, as those are going to be the main issues that we're watching out for in that New England region, as Hurricane Lee now, probably low-end hurricane, well, it's a Category 2 right now, probably will go to a category, it will be at a Category 1 and then go down to a tropical storm force once it goes into Nova Scotia and into Newfoundland, there to the north of Maine. Now let's switch gears, looking at the European model. This is going to look at the next couple of days into this weekend and into next week, looking at really what we're expecting across the other part of the country. There's been a lot of focus on Hurricane Lee, as we have seen some scenarios of it hitting Florida or all of that, but of course that didn't happen because we weren't really expecting that to happen. But we are, dealing with, thankfully, not very crazy weather across all the rest of the country right now. And going into tomorrow, we don't have much going on besides, those summer thunderstorms down here into Georgia, into Alabama, into Mississippi, into Texas, into Oklahoma. And then we're also going to see some rain from northern New Mexico over towards South Dakota and North Dakota here. As well as we keep pushing this into Friday and into Saturday here. We have been seeing some colder air down here into the eastern United States, and that's been causing some fall-like, autumn-like temperatures, which I've been loving here in St. Louis, up through Chicago, up through Cleveland, down through Louisville, Kentucky here. So many places dealing with those nice fall-like temperatures, but that area of cold air is going to skirt out into Canada to the east. And that's also a reason why we're going to see Lee kind of go this way and not really affecting the United States. It's really pulling that storm and out towards Canada, and it will significantly weaken once it hits near Maine. But we are going to see those warmer temperatures, those hotter temperatures creep back into St. Louis, into a place like Kentucky, into West Virginia, into Virginia. So that colder air is going to continue to go north. So that ridge here is going to come into place in these areas across the United States. And as we keep going here again into Friday, into Saturday, into Sunday here, and into Monday, we are going to continue to see that ridge. Another push of cold air. Is that possible by early next week? Yeah, we're probably going to see that. So into portions of the eastern United States. But those warmer temperatures are definitely going to be back for areas into the central United States. And the Climate Prediction Center here does show that. The Climate Prediction Center shows temperatures above normal in the central United States here in the next 6 to 10 days. This is a 6 to 10 day temperature probability outlook. We are going to see colder than normal temperatures over into the west here. So really the central United States, we're going to see those hits of colder air, especially here into the eastern United States. But the western United States is where we're going to see that colder air. And then to the central United States, that's where we're going to see a lot warmer air than usual, which I'm not so happy about. I wish we could just get straight into fall, but unfortunately Mother Nature does not think that for right now. So that about wraps up this More Weather Forecast video. Make sure you subscribe and go follow me on Twitter. Stay prepared out there. Again, it's in Maine down through Boston, in that New England area. Storm surge, flooding, high winds are all going to be issues. Again, stay prepared out there, and I will see you soon with more weather.